digital media and the internet are transforming the way young people socialize and play, but it's also changing the way they learn and participate civically. MacArthur believes this shift could positively transform teaching and learning in this country.
When we think about education, we get a little bit stuck in a 19th century vision of something that happens in a single institution in a single place at a particular time. So one of the shifts that's been incredibly important for us is to shift away from thinking about education and to shift towards learning. Because learning happens anywhere, anytime, which is what the kids are doing.
In 2006, MacArthur launched its Digital Media and Learning Initiative to explore how new technologies change the way young people learn. MacArthur's goal is to build a base of evidence to inform a new system for educating America's youth and to help us reimagine learning.
In traditional schools, we've thought about learning environments as the interaction between a teacher, a student, and curriculum, or the content that that student is supposed to be learning. And in the digital age, the learning environment is completely blown open. Because when you go online, or if you're in a game, or if you're in a social network, you could be interacting with thousands of people, many of whom are your peers. And so peers play a hugely important role in learning environments in the 21st century.
MacArthur has made more than $60 million in grants to researchers and practitioners working at the intersection of digital media and learning. University of California researcher Mimi Ito's 3-year study of young people's use of digital media forms the backbone of research in the field.
Mimi Ito has just completed a seminal work called Hanging Out, Messing Around, Geeking Out. And this was a 3-year study, an ethnographic study of over 700 young people. 25 researchers involved in the project. It's at the core of how we think about learning environments now, how we design them, and it's at the core of how we think about constructing learning networks.
And people like game designer and professor Katie Salen are helping us reimagine learning spaces. Salen's new school in New York City, Quest to Learn, is based on curriculum designed to engage students in their own learning.
In the game world, there's this phrase that's called putting chocolate on top of broccoli. And so people talk about what we really need is the fun of games put on top of the content of schools. And Katie's blown that apart and said, no, that's really not what we need. We need to completely reconceptualize what teaching and learning looks like. And she's done that through reimagining teaching and learning from the perspective of game design, and is really leading at the forefront of really reimagining what kids' experiences ought to be when it comes to learning.
MacArthur's support for digital media and learning is rooted in more than 25 years of grant-making in support of public education.
Our goal is that at the end of the day, this leads us to a new vision of learning that's based on several core principles. The first principle is the shift from education to learning. The shift from consumption of information, again, is something that often happens in schools, to participation in production, which we think is the core form of learning that has to be at the center of 21st century learning. The shift from thinking about institutions to thinking about networks. We know that this isn't just about the technology, that this is about learning, and that kids are learning in ways that are self-directed, they're learning in ways that involve both peers and adults, and they're learning in ways that engage their passions and their interests, as well as enable them to develop skills and competencies that allow them both to participate in democratic society, that enable them to get jobs for the future, and most importantly, to be lifelong learners.